Life is going to throw all sorts of difficulty at you, and it can make you better or it can make you worse. That's your call. So I just love this idea that 2,000 years ago, the most powerful man in the world, that would be Marcus Aurelius, he's the emperor of Rome, he's sitting down and he's writing in what would become meditations. He writes this line, he says, "The impediment to action advances action, what stands in the way becomes the way." And I mean, this is a guy who you'd think is not dealing with any obstacles because he can do whatever he wants. He's the head of the most powerful army, he has unlimited wealth. But he's reminding himself that stuff's gonna happen, he's gonna face obstacles. And really what he's saying is we can use those things as an opportunity to practice virtue, creativity, skills that we wouldn't have intended, but now because of that obstacle we have the opportunity to do. Okay, stuff's gonna happen. Your plane's gonna be delayed, the computer's gonna eat the document, the deal that you thought you were almost finished completing is gonna fall apart at the last minute. These are all gonna be problems, these are gonna be obstacles. People are gonna think you're too young, you're too old, you're not smart enough, you're not experienced enough, you're coming from this industry or that. You're gonna have these obstacles, but the question is not how do you make these obstacles not appear, but the question is what do you do with these obstacles? How do you use them as opportunities to do something that you couldn't have otherwise done? How is it going to make you better? If you get better for everything that life throws at you, the harder life is, the better you're going to be. And that's what Marcus Aurelius meant when he said the impediment to action advances action, what stands in the way becomes the way. Hey, it's Ryan. I just wanted to thank you for supporting Daily Stoic. If you want to support us more, please subscribe, like our videos, comment, share with your friends. Sign up for our email at dailystoic.com/email. You can also check out dailystoic.com/store. That's how we keep these videos high quality and ad-free. If you want to support us, buy one of our awesome philosophically inspired products. Thank you for all the support. In book 4 of Meditations, Marcus Aurelius has a great passage. He says, "It can only ruin your life if it ruins your character. Otherwise, it cannot harm you inside and out." And that's a theme you see Marcus talk about over and over again. He basically goes like, look, does this prevent me from acting with the virtues or with the character that I hold to be important? Basically, does this stop me from acting with wisdom, justice, temperance, or courage? The answer is like, no, it never does. Almost nothing does. And in fact, most of the bad stuff that happens to us, getting fired, running out of money, being humiliated, being rejected, most of the stuff that happens is actually only an opportunity for those virtues, right? There is no situation that ruins our character because our character, the Stoics would say, is something that only we possess. It's inside us. We can decide to abandon our character. We can abandon our principles. We can choose not to act with virtue, temperance, justice, and courage. And in that case, we are harmed, but nothing outside us can affect those things. Even if you're thrown in prison, again, even if you're subject to some grave injustice, the mob comes after you, tragically an accident befalls you or your family, all of these things are not good. No one would say that they are good or that we should want them to happen, but they do happen. And then the question is, does that tarnish your character? No. But the choices you make in response to that stimulus or that tragedy or that injustice, this ultimately does affect your character. And that's what we want to think about. And I think that's it's a high bar to meet. It's a difficult bar to meet. But if we can stretch and get there, even just some of the time, we'll be better and the world will be better for it. What we get from the Stoics is a sense of urgency, a sense of not taking anything or anyone for granted. And Marcus Aurelius, he says to himself, you could be good today, but instead you choose tomorrow. Basically, we're always pushing off into the future. Epictetus, he says to himself, how much longer are you going to wait to demand the best of and for yourself? And then Seneca, I think most poignantly, he says, fools all have one thing in common. They are always putting off living. And so what we take from all this, these three wise but very different Stoics, is that idea of carpe diem. Seize the day. Take advantage of what's in front of you. Don't wait to forgive someone or to make up or to tell them how you really feel about them. Do it now. Don't live wrongly, don't live unhappily, don't show up every day for a job you don't like because you hope that one day it will turn into a job you like. We have no idea how long we're here for. That's what that exercise of memento mori is reminding us. You know, Marcus Aurelius talks about, he says, do everything as if you were a dying man, because the truth is we all are dying. We're given a fatal diagnosis at birth. And so I wear this ring on my finger, this memento mori ring. On the inside, I have engraved a quote from Marcus Aurelius. He says, you could leave life right now, let that determine what you do and say and think. That's what he means when he says, look, you could have this today, you could be good today, you could do all the things you need to do today. But instead, we tell ourselves that we'll wait until tomorrow. But what if tomorrow never comes? So if you think about someone like Marcus Aurelius, and actually a lot of the Stoics, these are people who are both extremely successful. Marcus is the emperor. And then on the other hand, these are people who went through extreme adversity, right? Cato is tossed from power. Epictetus is exiled. Epictetus was at one point a slave, right? Seneca is exiled more than once. Seneca goes from the emperor's right-hand man to public enemy number one. So these are people who experienced wide swings of fortune and good luck and bad luck. And I think it's important for all of us to keep in mind, how do we respond to really good things and how do we respond when really bad things happen? And Marcus Aurelius's prescription in book 8, section 33, he says, to accept it without arrogance and to let it go with indifference. So that means you don't feel guilty that you are successful, and at the same time, you don't feel worthless when you're not successful or when you fail. You don't let ego creep in and make you think you're better than other people, and at the same time, you have such a strong sense of confidence that it doesn't matter what difficulties you're going through, it doesn't matter if you're being shouted down or criticized or not taken seriously, you shrug that off just as much, because neither of these external things, whether you're at the top of your game or the bottom of your game, says anything about you as a person. Your character, the Stoics would say, is what really matters. These other things are externals. It's obviously wonderful to be successful, but at the same time, when we do experience both blessings and curses, we want to accept the blessings without arrogance, and we want to accept the setbacks with indifference. I mean, my favorite quote from Marcus Aurelius, he says, objective judgment now at this very moment, unselfish action now at this very moment, willing acceptance now at this very moment of all external events. I mean, that's basically Stoicism in a nutshell. If you don't have to read Meditations, you don't have to read Seneca, you don't have to read Epictetus, you don't have to get a degree from Harvard in ancient philosophy to get any more out of Stoicism than that, right? It's like, look, see the world as it is for what it is. Don't put judgments on top of stuff. Be a good person. You have to take action. That's like, be a good teammate, be a good citizen, be generous, be caring. Don't be all about yourself. And then willing acceptance. I know people, that sounds like resignation, but what it's really about is like, instead of complaining about how things are, instead of feeling persecuted, instead of feeling like shit is unfair, or instead of feeling like you can go back and change the past, which you can't, accept it and then move forward. That's not the willing acceptance now at this very moment of all external events. He's not saying just accept everything as it is. He's saying like, accept the facts and then turn them into something. He's saying you can still change the world, but you can't change what's happened in the past. You can't change other people. You can only focus on what you're going to do with the facts that are in front of you. And so, I mean, that quote is the essence of what I write about in my books. It's the essence of what Stoicism is. And like, I would defy someone to live by that quote and not see things radically improve for themselves.
Thanks for watching. Please click subscribe below for more content from us at Daily Stoic.